Good morning, Americans and humans. This is your favorite alien with a special video this morning. And the video that I'm recording is on human extinction. Why it happened, and can you change it? Well, why it happened? Because of your stupidity as humans. That's everybody on this planet. Stupidity is what I call it. You are so engrossed in your own personal and petty differences that you forgot the external threats that you got to face. You have, for the last century, some pollution into space, i.e., radio signals, TV signals, internets, programs, everything. And since 70 years ago, people have started noticing, including your arch enemy, the Mushka, which we'll notice in about 5 years. And in 40 years from now, they'll come to say, I thought we got rid of you guys 70,000 years ago. Well, they almost did. And you almost did them. You had a war 70,000 years ago that almost destroyed both their civilization and yours. Your civilization at the time was far more advanced than it is today. And they still exist today. They left this planet because of what the Mushka did. The Mushka decided if we can't have Earth, we'll destroy it. So they used their energy weapons and fired up a supervolcano in what you call Sumatra. And it took a decade. Yeah, the planet was almost destroyed. It took a decade to get back to normal. But it created a bottleneck of DNA because most of the advanced civilization here left. And it was almost an extinction of the human DNA genome. The humans that left here, they called themselves Terrans. And this world was Terra. Okay? They found another world which they called Terran over there in what you call the Orion constellation system, by the Orion belts. It's a few light years away from Bentaka, the star you call Bentaka. And today it's called the Human Alliance, made up of different worlds, 32 of them today, 70 plus thousand years later. The remnants of what left here had to fight itself because for a decade or so, maybe 2 or 3, history doesn't record it because they never came back to your planet until 10,000 years ago. So for 60,000 or plus years, they settled on their civilization and then they came back to see how you were doing. And they got you back to somewhat human type thinking, adaptability, survivability, and ingenuity. But you guys never learned the lesson completely. that it's not about your weapons, it's not about your technology, it's about your adaptability and survivability. That's what made their civilization better than yours, and they are your ancestors. But when my race encountered them 3,000 of your years ago, they said they would never interfere in your affairs because you guys never understood them when they came back to bring civilization back to you guys. So they left you. And when you guys get extinct in July 22nd, 2065, well, they told us they would not interfere because there's nothing to save of your civilization. And my race has come to view their opinion as the right thing to do. There's nothing to save of your civilization. You ignored their teachings, you ignored their values, and you have come to your crossroads and therefore extinction. The only ones to blame is you. They had nation states when they left this planet, but they got rid of it because they had to grow and make their civilization Terran civilization. Not part this, not slash that, not half of this and half of that. Here, you all got a whole bunch of states, 290 or so states, as you call them? And even those states, take the United States, for example. You're a federation of 50 different, as you call them, countries that are member states. But you don't have anything in common. You forgot your doctrine and your prime directive, and then you created things that you call parties that overrule the people. What happened to promote the general welfare in your so-called prime directive? And what happened to your doctrine? You have messed that thing so much in the last almost 300 years that you can't even govern yourselves here in the United States. And you're headed to oblivion now that you got Trump for the second term. Yeah. By the time his term ends in 4 years, you'll be headed into oblivion. And the only people you have to blame is yourselves for voting them in, for not understanding what you needed. And you still don't know what you need. That makes the Terrans look at like, my gosh, what we left there we thought was going to be a good civilization ended up being a disaster that needs to be evaporated from existence. That's why they let the Mushka finish the job they started in 70,000 years ago. They could have come in and saved or intervened in behalf of you guys. Well, of course, you're their descendants, and they are your ancestors. But hey. And they told us if I were you, we wouldn't intervene either. And that's why my bosses and my council told us not to intervene, and we watched you be destroyed. It was painful. But hey, you guys cost out yourselves for everything you did. Look at everything you've done in the last 4 years. Disastrous. Look at everything you've done in the last 70 to 80 years. Disastrous. And there is no person that comes in and, hey, we have to look at ourselves from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to the top, whichever one you want to look at it, and say, look at all the mess we have. Do we really want this? I don't see anybody asking those questions. I just see you got us versus